All right, I'll count us into the show in, let me mute this in three, two, one.
All right, welcome to episode 124 of the Narcissistic Music Disorder.
Before we got on, started recording, Scott gave me the rundown of his journey to see Mike Tramp from White Lion, formerly of
Yes.
White Lion, and of course, our one of our collective favorite bands here, the Great Affairs. I had a gig. I was really disappointed. Not that the gig wasn't great because it was fantastic, but I would have kind of, as a matter of fact, a friend of mine sent me a text and said, "Are you going to see the Great Affairs tonight?" And I said, "No, Scott's going." But great. You said what we've all known, that the Great Affairs laid it down live and just were turning heads. And
Oh man. Yeah.
every video I've ever seen, and I have to rely on videos. And I usually, like, I'll try to get a good fan shot video, somewhere. And there was a couple multi-camera things they had at some shows this last summer. But dude, exactly what you want a live band to be.
Yeah.
Just
Sounded fantastic. Just
kick ass. Yep.
yeah, like I told you, one of the top 5 best sounding bands, tightest bands I've ever heard in my life live.
Well, and here's what I think. It's because number one, they're all pros. Like, everybody's a
Yeah.
great, great, great player, great singers. Um, Very conscientious of tone and how they sound, how their instruments sound. Plus, so you have all that, which is huge. But the other thing that the Great Affairs have, that a lot of bands who have that level of Great Affairs talent are missing, is the songs. And
Yeah.
that's what, you know what I mean? That's why people get all hooked on it so fast,
Yeah.
because the songs are so freaking good, man. I mean,
There was a multiple people that came up and said, "Which album is Shame on You on?"
oh yeah, cool.
Yeah, there was at least 2 or 3 people that came up and said that. I
I
said, "Well, it's on the greatest hits and it's on 4."
I saw a shot of the Great Affairs, a little video clip from a mutual friend on Facebook who was at their show during sound check, and they were sound checking "I'm All Right,"
Yeah.
and it sounded so good, dude. It sounded so killer. And the
The
best
the
part about the Great Affairs is I knew they were sound checking, dude, because they were all in like shorts and t-shirts, and they would never go on stage like
no,
that.
the other cool thing was, and I told Corey this after the show, was um the add-ons that Corey has made to the songs that he didn't play on.
Yeah,
Like
guitar
his
things and stuff.
cool parts that he's added. So killer.
Yeah, he's a killer guitar player, man. He
Oh
really
man.
is. That's a great band. That is evident. And now let's get on to the headliner that you have admittedly weren't a humongous fan of back in the day. I was
No.
the first couple albums, but Mike Tramp did a good job too. You said he talked a
Yeah.
lot. We won't get into that,
I
but
liked Wait. I liked the hits from them. I mean,
yeah,
Wait has one of the greatest guitar solos
right,
ever.
right, Vito, and those are guys like Mike Tramp. You wonder if he got back with Vito Bratta, and well, the whole band maybe got James back and Greg, put the original White Lion. I wonder what level they'd be working at.
I mean, he
Do
still sounds good. He looks good. He's
He
like
looks
63.
great, dude. He
So,
looks great.
yeah.
He looks greght. The band, he's playing guitar more these days.
Yeah, he was
He used to
playing
be a front
guitar.
man.
Yep.
And the videos I saw kind of that, it's like they were doing the White Lion songs and maybe getting them a little rootsier, a little less hairy, for lack of a better word. Is that
Yeah.
true? Yeah.
And then he's mixing in his own solo
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, there's some White Lion songs that, as a matter of fact, American Hair Band, we were just talking. I just sent a text the other night. I was like, dudes, we need a White Lion tune. What's it going to be? Is it going to be, because I love them. I love Little Fighter.
Yep. He did
Going
that
Home
one.
Tonight's a great tune. I love Going Home Tonight. But the biggies would be like Wait and the ballad When the Children Cry. Remember that?
Yeah.
I love Wait, so I think we were
Wait's a great
discussing
one.
that
Yeah.
as a great tune. So, well, good. I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you saw the Great Affairs. Of course, I'm a little bit jealous. My only chance of seeing the Great Affairs, I think, is I'm going to have to book the Great Affairs somewhere. You know
Yes.
what I mean? It's like the only chance I ever get to see anybody.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
have to book them somewhere in GR. I was thinking about that after the show.
and they'd be great at the tip. I'd like to see. I think they would be great at like Elevation or something. I just,
Yes.
I also think they'd be good at. Actually, I think they'd be great. I think they'd be great for Unruly Brewing
Oh
in
yeah,
Muskegon. Um,
get a
I
weekend thing
well, that's the thing is I'm hoping,
like they just did right now.
yeah, right, go out do for. I'm hoping to do that with a couple bands here in the winter and the in the spring, kind of get some things going. And I've actually started booking some stuff for next year. House gigs, man. I got like a whole summer, every
And you're
Sunday
gonna
in the
be at
summer.
Unruly Brewing next Friday.
Friday, yeah. There's so many bands, and I do that. Like if some friends want to come through, I've done it with 500 Miles. We did it with Ben
Kenny Roby.
Baylor, Kenny Roby, and Six String Drag. If friends want to come through, I can usually find a couple venues.
Yeah.
It's just I just think they would kill it. They'd probably do great at Park Theater in Holland.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just, they're just a killer band. I'd love to find a good band to,
The
it'd be cool to do like there's a real hot local Let There Be Rock AC/DC tribute, them and opening for Great Affairs or something would be really cool.
yeah.
But yeah, we got to figure that out. So enough of this bullshit. Enough of our booking bullshit.
The venue though, in Paw Paw for this place, they have a lot of cool shows that I'm gonna
Yeah.
check
You
into
said it
more
was
this
the bomb.
summer. Next
Yeah. You
summer,
said
I
it was
mean,
really
because they're
cool.
yeah, it was awesome set. I mean, if you got to have a nice day, but you could
Yeah.
sit. There's like a river or creek that runs through there, and on the
Cool.
other, if you sat on the other side of that, you could bring like a chair, a
Killer.
regular chair if you
Yeah.
want to, and you could hear just fine. But
Listen to you. Listen to concert guy. You can bring your own chair.
I just wanted, I wanted to be up front because that's the great affairs, man.
Right. You're not going to be sitting in some chair for the great. Well, I would want a
But
chair, of
killer
course.
venue, man, just killer venue.
Nice. Nice. I'm glad you went. I'm jealous, like I said.
Paw Paw. The town's so nice they named it twice.
Ooh, nice, man. You are good.
I think that's actually stuck to New York, but you
Oh,
can use
yeah.
it wherever you
You
want.
can use it any double town you want to. So let's talk about today. Again, we had a guest booked. We've had a guest booked a couple times, and the guest backed out a few times due to some scheduling conflicts. We kind of learned today that the schedule of the NMD podcast would have to be adjusted for this person, and we may make that happen. But a couple times now, it's kind of put us back on our heels. We've been freestyling, as we like to call it. Not that we do, and people should know this, not that they don't, but like Scott and I aren't on Google for 2 weeks before a show getting factoids and everything. We just pick a topic. We kind of try to get a list together, and then everything you hear us talk about from when the albums came out or any of that other stuff is basically just as we remember it. That's why we
Yeah,
always go,
guessing
yeah,
sometimes.
right,
Yeah,
guessing sometimes. Um,
ballparking
so
it.
so we're kind of freestyling. Today is a freestyle episode due to this cancellation. So what do you want to talk about, buddy?
Well, I read this book recently called "Rock and Roll Will Save Your Life" by Steve Almond,
Okay.
and he is a self-professed what he calls a drooling fanatic. So basically, NMD.
Yeah.
He
Yep.
has a different name.
For the same
And
disorder.
same disorder, basically. I think my name's cooler, but
Agreed.
uh, but same concept. And so I read this book, and that is where a couple weeks ago I asked you how long would it take you if you had to come up with your all-time desert island top 10.
Who
And
could?
this
Oh,
this guy, it took him 14 months because he came up with his at the end of the book. And this is what sparked my um listening to Ike Riley again, because that was his number one, was Ike Riley, Salesman and Racist, was
oh,
one of his
okay.
top 10. And most of his top 10, I mean, his top 10 was, I'd heard of three of his top 10. He's got serious NMD because I'd heard of three of these freaking people. But
Wow.
in the in
Wow.
the in the chapter about Ike, and one of them was Chuck Prophet. You know Chuck Prophet.
Yep,
That
I
was one
do.
of his
Yep.
albums. Joe Henry was one of his albums.
You know my
Fuse,
love. You know my love for Joe Henry.
yeah, Fuse was the album that he listed. But anyway, he has this chapter about Ike Riley, and he goes to Ike Riley's place in Libertyville, Illinois, where he bought this house that was way too expensive. He got like a crazy amount of money for Salesman and Racist when it came out.
Okay.
like Dust Brothers and other like labels were bidding on it type of thing.
Wow.
And so he bought this crazy like lodge that he'd went to when he was a kid and just fell in love with it and bought it
Wow.
and he and turned it into his house. It's got like an indoor basketball court and all kinds of shit.
Wow.
Yeah, and a studio, of course,
Of course.
with a full bar. And
Oh,
so this guy goes, the Steve Allman, the guy that wrote the book, goes to meet Ike Riley because he's this huge fan. He's never seen him live, just had the records. Started with the second record, I believe, maybe. I don't remember. But I started with his second record,
okay.
um, which is the song that I sent you the other day, where I used
Yes.
the
Yes.
lyrics at the end of last episode.
Yep.
Um, so that's the record I started with, and then went back and got Salesman and Racist, and I have everything I think but two of his albums.
Okay.
Um, but he was playing them some like demos, probably from the Poison, the Hit Parade record. And the guy that wrote the book said to Ike while he was sitting at the console, "You must not like listening to your own songs." And he turned around and gave him a look like, and he said, "You think I care about this shit? You think that I I should celebrate or I should think I'm fucking great because I wrote Kami Drives a Nova?" And he said, "Inside, I'm thinking, it's a big deal. Yeah, you should." But, he didn't say anything. And then a drunk friend of Ike's came in and broke the tension, thankfully. But I wanted to ask you about that because as a songwriter yourself,
Oh,
shut
dude,
up.
come on.
Um, I mean, Ike Riley is like Paul Westerberg and Bob Dylan mixed together. He's got
Okay. Yeah.
crazy, you know, uh, what do you said? What do you stream of consciousness type of lyrics?
Right.
Um, that are just that some of them don't make sense, but it all, I don't know, works out somehow for him. It's just crazy. But how can you not, if you didn't care, why would you release it to the public? If you didn't care, that's
I
what I'm
don't believe I and
there's some of these guys that
it,
say they don't give a shit. That's what I'm
and
saying. And
that's
but
not true.
if you didn't give a shit, why would
That's
you
not true.
release it to the public?
I and I could be wrong. My guess is, I mean, my thought is validation, dude, is because this has been my philosophy, not as a songwriter. That's stupid. I don't have that, but
No, you're a songwriter.
like as someone who loves music and listens, otherwise, if you just want to hear yourself make up songs and sing them and play them and record them and get them to no one, that's fine. Then everything's a song. But when you involve other people in the process and other opinions, I think that I think that's when art is at its best because some people you're making art for art's sake. And that sounds pompous, but again, so I draw pretty kick-ass Van Halen logos. I got some of them drawn on paper around here. Do I put that? I can put that on my wall, right? And go, well,
Yeah.
kick-ass Van Halen logo. But it takes another person's ownership of that or involvement in it, in my mind, to really elevate it to that next level of both validation that it is because it's moved another person. It's easy to move yourself because you know your emotions, you know what you love, you know what you hate, I think when you're able to move another person, it means that you're working in such a way that you're starting to talk universal truths that come out of your own truth, right? Your own feelings, you share them with other people and they have them too. That creates community, that creates some validity, that
Yeah.
creates commerce for sure. But I mean, I'm trying to think of, here's a great name a song that has an experience, and I have millions of them that you love, right? A song that you love with a subject you know nothing about.
Um,
I love King's Highway by Joe Henry. I've never killed anybody.
yeah.
But in King's Highway, he kills a man literally just because he happened to be in that place.
Yeah, I love the song Ballad of the Devil's Backbone Tavern, but I've never traveled a highway with a band.
Right. But something in there connects you to it, and it's done so well that you almost get a little of that experience, I guess. Like
Yeah.
that's what great songwriters do, I think, because the line in King's Highway by Joe Henry is where it wasn't how I had it planned when it finally came around. I took a man with my own hands, but I held him close as he went down. I mean, I can picture that murder. Like I know exactly what
Yeah.
that's like. And I've also never, you know what, dude? I've never, no, that's, I was going to say, I've never been like profiled, pulled out of my car, spoken to harshly by law enforcement, something like that. I love the song Fuck the Police by NWA.
Yep.
Right. I've
And
never
dope.
had that experience. I was just telling kids at the school I work at, I was just telling them the other day, NWA gave me an insight into I've told the story even on this podcast before. When I first heard NWA and the Posse, and that was the first cassette that had an NWA recording, Eazy-E, Feel a Fresh Crew, all these guys, I thought it was a joke, dude. I thought it was like at that time there were things like, of course, Weird Al Yankovic was
The
always out.
Jerky Boys.
Jerky Boys. I'm like, that
Yeah.
must be this. It's just so raw that they're just saying outrageous stuff to be outrageous and shocking and funny. I didn't know that happened.
Right.
It didn't take long because about that time in the late 80s, you know, early 90s, we were starting to see that there was definitely law enforcement were treating people differently, people differently, right? So I learned that there. And that's, so I don't know that experience personally, but now I'm aware of it, right? I don't know what it means to a lot of things, you know, settle the West. You know what? I've never ridden the wild horses either.
No.
But so
Ross Cooper. Yeah.
I think the best songs let the listener in enough and give the listener enough ownership to feel like they're having that experience. It's almost like virtual reality, right? You get a VR headset and you can go to the zoo or wherever the hell you want to go. Music is the original virtual reality where you could listen and take yourself there. And it was fun because you could take it. I could take music everywhere from, you know, I mean, of course it was back in the hairband days. Right? So, I mean, you know, I never danced with Mr. Brownstone. I've never done heroin.
No.
Right. But you could get those experiences. And that's music is the original virtual reality. It's a chance to take a trip without leaving the farm, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's stream of consciousness lyrics. Although I love Dylan, you know that, and I love Todd Snyder, and I struggle with those sometimes because I imagine the stream of consciousness. I imagine the song is like I don't know. Let's just say like a train I'm getting on, right? I'm getting on the train.
Yeah.
And when I get on the Joe Henry train and I'm following the tracks of King's Highway, we're going fine. Stream of consciousness feels like there's no track. You know, that's hard for me.
To compare it to a movie, it's stream of consciousness and more like a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Exactly right. Yep. And I'm pretty dumb too. Like I'm, you know, I need not, you know, fire desire, perfect laid out story, but I do like I like a storyline I can follow. Even if I assign it my own thing, right? Even if it's a little vague, but you know, so the girl that and you know, the Great Affairs, you know, in a Great Affairs song, the girl sitting at the table,
Olivia,
or, you know, yeah, right. I don't know that person, but I assign that person in my mind. One of my people takes the leading role. One of the, you know, I don't know who that is to them, but I know who it is to me. I
could picture what she's wearing.
Right. And they're different. I'm sure, I wish we had a way that every listener of music could put on some sort of thing on their head, listen to a song, and it would make the video in their head. It would like produce the video in their head so we could look at them. Like my wife is the great example of this. She, you know, the song, of course you do, Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers. She has a video that plays in her head and she's described it to me, and her uncle's in it. He's in like a duster. I never saw the dude wear a duster in his life. Right. And there's a problem with her dad in a bar. I don't know if it's Old Westy or not.
Right?
But
Wow.
but that part happened like when they were kids. My wife's dad like worked at a drugstore in Indiana, and some like this is 50s style stuff, right? So some hoodlums were gonna, rough
Some
him
street
up.
toughs.
Some street toughs were gonna rough him up. Well, his older brother Ronnie ended up working the covering for him at the drugstore one night, walked out and got jumped. So I know that's in Jen's video, and he's kicking all these people's asses in a duster, I guess. And again, rest in peace, Uncle Ronnie. I never saw him wear a duster. I'm sure he'd be pissed even thinking about that. But that's the cool thing. I mean, do you have? Let me ask you this. So now we're freestyling, say anything. We're on a topic. Think of a song and tell me what it looks like in your head. Like, can you do that? Can you pick a song you love and what it looks like in your head? And it
Yes.
can't be someone you know a lot of musicians and songwriters, and you've connected with a lot of people. I want someone that you haven't spoken to or you haven't read their side of the story.
There's an artist in Canada called the band is called Doc Walker.
Okay.
They have a song called Rocket Girl. I've had many conversations with people about this song. And it goes, where are you going today, Rocket Girl? And basically the guy in my head, this is a guy talking to his daughter who's telling him all these places that she's like, I got this hat from a man named Joe. He was a welder in Miami. And she tells him all these stories. So in my head, it's a guy talking to his little girl who's telling him stories. Where are we
Okay.
going today, Rocket Girl?
Perfect.
My wife has a different scene in her head about the song.
Perfect, man. See? And is that not the ultimate ownership? Like, I'm trying to think like a painting of a bowl of fruit, right? I don't know. I'll
Yeah.
just use that, right? Again, visually, you assign value to those things. Those yellow things are bananas. The red things are apples. These oranges are oranges. Blah blah blah. With songs, and I loved VH1 Storytellers. I thought that was a cool
Yes.
series,
I was
but
just thinking about that because there's something from that that someone said on there. I was just thinking about.
right, that which was and that the cool thing was is how shocking it was when you were like, oh, okay, that makes sense, but that's not what I thought they were
There's
talking
actually
about.
two things now I just thought
So
of.
what do you got? What are they?
Well, John Mayer said both of them, I think. He was on with, I think it was him and Brad Paisley. Yeah, it
Oh,
was.
was it Crossroads?
Crossroads.
Yeah, okay.
And he said, songs don't have styles. It's just a song. Because when you sing my songs, it sounds totally different. And when I sing your songs, it sounds like a totally different song. So
Right.
songs don't really have styles. It's just a song.
I think that well, and that's true. And we've seen that happen before because that's one of my favorite things when a song can jump genres,
And he said
right?
too, someone asked him about a song because he has a lyric in one of his songs where he says, I want to run through the halls of my high school.
Oh yeah, I know that
And
song.
someone said, have you done that since you got famous? And he said, here's the thing about that. That's a metaphor. And he said, you know, a song, if whatever you think a song is about,
That's
that's
what
what
it's
it's
about.
about.
And we've said that. I think that's been said a lot, and I think it's true. I do think it's true. Um, I I tend to I certainly make videos in my head all the time. Usually
Yeah.
I star in them because I'm my favorite actor. Um, but it's so funny. Like I can also, if I get some information from somewhere else, I also can assign it. I'll tell you this. I don't even know. I mean, I know what he was in the cover, like, but like if I hear Cheap Trick live at Budokan, I picture everything. I can picture Bunny Carlo. I picture the concert in my head. I can hear, the crowd, of course, at Budokan, which is probably been triple tracked and added
Yeah.
to and overdubbed, but
Used by
I,
other people.
but like Seasons of Wither by Aerosmith. I don't really know what that's about, but I've assigned value to that. Every 80s hair metal song, if some kid was trying to beat the odds and become a star or
Yep.
fight for his right to party or whatever, I'm always generally the lead character. They're about me. Um, all the girls in, who, the cherry pie girl isn't Bobby Brown to me. It's probably the hottest girl in my high school or something, right? There's that sort of thing. I think, and then the other side of that is I do love very specific songs too. Like there's no question what The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down is pretty much about, right?
Yeah.
But I love
The
hearing
night
Robbie.
Chicago died.
Exactly. I love hearing Robbie Robertson say it was at a dinner with Levon Helm's folks, because Levon Helm was the only one from the South. Those guys were Canadian. But Robbie was down there and he said that Levon's dad said to Robbie Robertson straight faced, Robbie, the South will rise again. And then that became The Night They, he wrote this song. And so I guess that's the thing, man. Because even books, right? That's why we all praise books so much, is you create your own visual in your head while you're reading a book for the most part.
Sometimes you get mad when they make the movie and it's like, that's not what the guy looks like.
Dude, you know what? Here's a great one. Is one of my favorite books. And this, they taught it, our English teacher taught it last year, was Into the Wild. I love that.
Oh, book. Yeah. I have it. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, dude, if I'm guessing, and no bullshit, I bet I've read that book easily 100 times.
I'll probably read it this year yet.
It's so good. And I've never seen the movie and I refuse to because I was so connected to it. And they had one picture, I think. Was it one? In the book at the time. Yes, it was one. One picture of Chris McCandless. One picture of him. It's gaunt, standing in his flannel shirt and his boots by the bus he died in, what was it, the Fairbanks 42 or whatever that bus was. But all the other characters, I had visual, I knew what they look like. Yeah. Like there's a guy who picks him up in the book and who's they didn't even, who used to drink. I almost said he's a recovered alcoholic. He's just a dude who used to get fucked up and doesn't do that anymore. But he talks about Chris and he had this, not a huge interaction, dude, but the kid made enough of impression on him that he carried the kid in his heart forever. And when he found out the kid died, he drank again.
Oh.
And I could see that, right? I could see that whole process and why he would. And I think he also maybe, had kind of renounced religion too or something in there. Said, a God that would let a boy like Chris die, I can't believe it. So I don't know what that guy looks like. In my head, I know what he looks like. I know who he looks like in my life. He looks a little bit like Steve Rinella's dad, Frank Rinella.
Oh, yeah.
Who I grew up with. And a little bit like my buddy Craig's dad. He has characteristics of all. I remember the guy had rubber boots in his truck. Like picked up a hitchhiker and actually had a pair of rubber boots behind his seat. In my mind, they're green Northerner boots that my buddy Craig's dad wore, I wore, Craig wore. They were a real warm hunting boot. That's what they are. You know what I mean?
So did the movie High Fidelity bother you after reading the book?
That's a great question because I don't remember when I read the book.
It didn't bother me because it was John Cusack and he's like one of my favorite actors.
Well, that's the other thing too.
There was things that were left out that I didn't like. They were hinted towards in the movie, but
I think a well-casted movie will do that too.
Yeah.
Because when the people, I mean, in my mind, I'm trying to think of another book. I'm not. I
can't bring myself to watch. They remade High Fidelity with Zoe Kravitz. I would
never watch it.
I
would never watch that. I don't have any time for that. And not that I'm sure.
Nothing against her. I just can't do it.
Right.
That'd be like if they remade Spinal Tap. I couldn't watch that.
Right. Well, the other thing that I've been noticing too, and I've mentioned before, Quinn, my son got us convinced to get that Spotify membership that I would never pay for. So I do love access to all those songs. But man, 99, not 99, that's too high. But a lot of the material on there is remixed and remastered. And
Okay, yeah.
dude, I that shit is starting to really, you know, I, certain things I do love. Some stuff has been remixed and remastered, and I can hear the parts better. And there's guitars I
Right.
didn't hear, and it overall sound. I like that, right? Some things don't need to be messed with; they're just messed with to be messed with. The ones that are just messed with to be messed with bother me a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love a good remix and remaster when it's bringing out parts I couldn't hear or I didn't know about, or
Yeah.
and Justice for Jason. There you go.
I
That
just
thing on
got
YouTube.
well, I listened to a lot of new stuff this weekend. I one time through the new David Gilmour record.
How is that?
Nothing really caught me like, oh, I got to listen to that again. But I usually give records 3 tries before, and if I don't catch nothing catches my ear, like, oh, track 7, I got to go back to that again. But
Right.
nothing caught me the first listen. I also listened to some of the new Miranda Lambert.
How was that?
It was good. It's because she did a dude that I love named Brent Cobb
Oh
from
yeah.
Georgia.
Yep.
She did one of his songs and I wanted to hear it, so I
Well,
checked that out. I listened to something else new. I've got the new Nick Cave, but I haven't listened to it yet. I heard it's really good.
I'm trying to think of if I haven't been listening to much new. I don't think I've been. I told you I was listening to a lot of Neil Casal. Um, what else have I been
Oh, I
rocking?
got the Tiger Cub record. That's good. One time through listen. They opened for Chevelle.
Hey, speaking of which, you said so. Did you get hip to them when they opened for Chevelle? Is that
I
how you?
did. Yep, never heard of them.
And you said that was happening for the Great Affairs too.
Yeah,
People
it
were coming up,
was.
dude. Yeah, who are you guys?
Oh,
Right?
there was at least 5, 6 people that came up and said, "Never heard you guys before," and bought a CD or two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is that's how the opening act thing is really supposed to. That's the goal of the opening act,
Yes.
right? The
Yeah,
goal
they were
of the
selling
opening
merch
act.
like crazy for about a half hour, 45 minutes after they got done, man. It
They're
was
such a
great.
good band. They're such a great band. Yeah. So I, in listening, in what I've been listening, did you see Butch Walker's not recording? He's not going to make any more solo albums.
Really?
He said he doesn't want to repeat himself. He's done making solo albums.
Okay.
And so I've been listening to a ton of Butch lately.
Well, that doesn't make any sense because
All his
he's
solo albums sound different.
I know, and he can do any style of music he wants.
Yep. He
So
just said
that
he's not doing them, which
huh.
I was talking to Todd Long about it. He thought maybe that was going to mark a full on Marvelous 3. Butch Walker's focused on Marvelous 3, which wouldn't please me, to be honest with you, because I like Marvelous 3, but I like solo Butch. I was
Yeah.
telling Todd how much I like Glenn,
Yeah.
that I didn't like that record at first, and now it's probably one of my favorites in his catalog. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, that's what he said. He said he was
Huh.
thinking
No
of not
kidding.
do. Yep, yep. So I've been listening to a lot of Butch Walker. I'm heavy on Oasis right now because they're in the news and they've
Yeah.
got my attention. Um, and then outside of that, most of my music listening lately has been I listen to mixes of our stuff because we're getting ready to. We're always like Ghost of Sunset, though people don't know this. I don't think. I mean, they probably think I'm just jacking around and playing cover gigs everywhere, but we're forever working on a new record. We've had a record a year since we started, at least something since we signed the
Yeah,
first time with
you
Golden
have.
Robot. So that I'm usually in the car if I get time to myself, I listen to mixes or something. But the I played a few weeks ago and with our friends with uh, Connors and Chico, we played with Carrie Welling as her
Yes.
backing band. And the band that opened for her are called the Young Fables.
Okay.
Dude, killer,
That was a
killer.
backyard gig, right?
It was that backyard gig. Yeah. And I just talked to Carrie last week. She's coming back. We're going to get a kind of a Great Affairs run, like a 4 or 5 date thing up here with that backing band and
Oh,
have her play some shows.
she played
So
Rockford last time,
that'll
right?
be who
Yeah.
do you remember she played with me? I got her. with us in Rockford. I
Yep.
got her with us. I think she played the Tip,
Tip Top.
and
Yes.
she played somewhere else with kind of my solo band with the Angels. And I don't remember
Can't
where that was,
remember.
but yeah, she's coming up. So anyhow,
Cool.
but yeah, check out the Young Fables. They've been rocking me hard lately, and I'm trying to think of what other music stuff has been. I've been fascinated by an era of music right now, and this is a crazy thing. I don't think I was very aware of this, but what I'm going to call, and forgive me, fans, this is unsubstantiated. Rumor is certainly there. Sammy Hagar has said this is the case, but Eddie Van Halen's methamphetamine phase when he was on meth. I've been watching videos from the tour that they did where he was an active alcoholic. He was on meth. He had his dude. It is so bad.
You can see it. Yeah.
So bad. And I guess, according to Sammy, he was like a real dick to people during that time.
Yeah.
He was just a mess. And it's hard to watch. I mean, he looks bad. Hagar said that it was a winter tour, maybe. And
That's
he didn't wear a shirt at all. And he didn't wear socially or on stage.
wow. That's
Yeah.
why, but that's funny because this morning my wife and I were we were discussing how she said she didn't think she's ever cried when a celebrity died. And I said, and I was listing off all the ones that I have when they passed.
Yeah.
And I
Who were they?
said, what's that?
Yeah. What's your list? Do you
Oh
remember?
God, it was, I mean, not in any particular order, but Dimebag,
Yeah.
um, Razzle, um, Howard Zinn, and I said Eddie Van Halen, even though he was kind of a dick. It's exactly what
Yeah.
I said.
He had a very dickish face for sure. I'm trying
But
to think.
yeah,
Boy, I remember crying when John Lennon was shot. I remember that distinctly. I was a little boy.
yeah, I was very young when Razzle died too, and
Yeah.
but my dad introduced me to Hanoi, and I love that band, so I was very sad.
Yeah. I remember when Razzle died, and I don't think I was super Hanoi hip at the time.
Okay,
I'm not 100% convinced that, and I'm trying to get the. I remember seeing the video for Up Around the Bend and liking it because I knew the song, but I don't think I was super hip to Hanoi until the accident brought
okay,
their names kind of into the forefront. But I definitely, so I remember Lennon. Um, I have somewhere a Polaroid of me. It doesn't look, but my girlfriend clicked it when I was full
Stevie
on.
Ray.
I bawled, dude.
Yep.
The funniest part about the Stevie Ray picture of me crying at the death of Stevie Ray, I'm crying at the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan while I'm wearing a David Lee Roth skyscraper t-shirt,
That's gold.
which is the juxtaposition of my life.
Yeah.
Certainly Dimebag. I wasn't a tremendous Pantera fan,
Okay.
but I'm a huge Dimebag fan, and I'm a huge Pantera fan of the ethos, the guys, the
Yeah.
them at their peak. I mean, I love all the what we're gonna kind of jokingly call singles, but I
Yeah.
love Walk, I
Through
love
Craig.
Cemetery Gates.
Yeah.
You
Through
know,
Craig, I got to meet everybody from Pantera except for Phil.
yeah. Wow, really? That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
When
Were they cool?
they played with, yeah, they were awesome. They played with Black Label somewhere, like at
Oh yeah.
an Ozfest maybe or
Oh
something.
cool.
I think it was an Oz. Like, I don't think Black Label was there, but I think that they were coming through and they stopped and were hanging out.
Oh no way.
And yeah, because I went to the first two or three with one of my buddies that I used to work with at BIM.
Oh wow. So
So
you were late. How when did you quit working at Believe in Music?
when it shut down,
Oh, you literally okay. Because I
yeah,
think I was gone. I'm trying to remember, dude. I think I might have had an opportunity to switch stores and didn't. I think they closed Apple
I
Avenue
did.
and I
They
could have
closed 54th Street and I went to Rogers Plaza, which was the last store.
okay. And I was at Apple and they could send me over to Henry Street and I
Okay.
just hung it up.
Yeah.
I forget where I know. I went to a smaller independent record store.
Yeah. You went to like
Music Magic, it was
Magic.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great store. God, I love that. God, I
Yeah,
love
it
a
was
record
like
store job.
99 or 2000, I think, when BIM finally closed. When
Wow.
when Best Buy came to town and was selling CDs for like a
Yeah.
dollar over cost, it was
Yeah, it was done, wasn't it?
times.
We were believing music was a superpower though for a while.
I
That
mean,
was a Michigan
you knew
superpower.
when BIM started buying used albums that it was the end
We were
was
on the way
near.
out. Yeah. Yeah. God, that was I forget that that was a whole sub genre of music sales was UCD stores. You know,
Yeah,
going into I love the UCD
it
store.
was well, and it was almost a form of the the pirating that people
Of course.
did for a while because
Artists
the
weren't getting
artists
paid
weren't.
for those records.
They did once, but
Yeah, they only got it once.
right.
Yeah, and then
So
they
that was all music store profit right there.
right, right, and
Because you'd
bringing
give
in
a buck or two for them and then sell it for five.
I
So
know, and bring in and as the listener, then you were bringing in your old discs, right? Hey man,
yeah,
I want to okay, we'll give you $10 store credit, you know, and you can go out and get something different. And
right.
yeah, no artist ever made any money. You talk about Spotify and shit, right? Not paying artists. At least
Yeah,
they got a fraction of a penny. The UCD store, you got nothing.
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 All the shows and everything, and
Oh, dude, the record and CD collector shows. We've never been to one together, which is weird because there's not the need that used to be. I mean, the need for me back in the day was I had to see 1981 Cheap Trick live. And
yeah,
you were there was no YouTube, there was none of that stuff. So I
right.
had to go get the VHS.
I had stacks of like, yeah, no use
Oh,
for a name, bootleg VHS, and
I still have them, dude. I still
I
have
s-
some over there.
I think I still have. I was telling Heather about it on a walk the other day about when Dickie Betts went to jail and Zach played with the Allman Brothers.
Oh wow, I'd like
I
to see
have
that.
the DVD of the
How
MP3s
is it,
that
dude?
it's great. I bought it at one of those shows, but I'd have to look in my collection, but I'm almost positive that I have it on DVD as well.
I'd like to see that.
But
Did
I have
he
like so many that I ripped from VHS to DVD. Like I ripped a Live at the Moore Mad Season from VHS to DVD so I
Oh
could
cool.
watch it.
I wonder if
I have a jellyfish bootleg thing that I made.
oh cool.
All this stuff I collected. I have them like doing an acoustic set at a record store on DVD
Oh wow.
of jellyfish.
I know I have some VHSs. I have Zach playing at I think it's in Sterling Heights, maybe. He did a clinic and he played with like
Okay.
two local, they had a
Did
trio.
I
He played
give you did I give you a Pride and Glory VHS?
I don't know that you did.
I think I did.
Maybe, maybe that
I
would be
think
right. Yes, yes, you did. I
I
think you
think
did because I had one. I had one that had Alice in Chains
okay.
live in East Lansing.
Oh wow. At like Rick's or something?
Yes,
Oh wow.
I still have it. And then these record and CD collector people sometimes would just throw something else on.
Right.
So my Alice in Chains one is that, and then the next, you know, you let it play to the end of the show, and all of a sudden another show pops up, and it's Extreme in some
Oh
bar
wow.
somewhere. And I have like Cheap Trick, and back then you couldn't get a lot of now they're all over. There's some great shows on YouTube, but I needed some stuff from the Southern Harmony tour for the Crows,
Oh
the High
yeah.
as the Moon tour. And so I have that like a 93 show and all that. I mean, that was just it's so amazing to me now how hard we would look for that stuff. Like how I was going to that CD and collector show in Grand Rapids on 28th Street at the hotel there. And I would walk in, and the dude at the door would call me the Jayhawks guy and scream
Yeah.
across the room, like, Frank, the Jayhawks guy's here. And they'd wave his hand. I'd go over, and he would pile up clunk. Here's a bunch of CD singles. And I still have the Hollywood Town Hall electronic press kit on VHS, came with postcards, the whole bit.
Right.
Um, and I'd buy it all. And I mean, dude, when I say buy it all, and you know, money was tight back then. I was all I
Yeah.
did for a living was play music. You might leave there $200 lighter. $200 of VHSs and CDs, and
Yeah,
you
and you
know,
don't know the quality until you get home
you don't
either.
know. Do you remember at the collector shows there might be a dude who'd have the VCR and a TV, little portable TV right there, and you'd
Yep.
be. I remember doing it with the Cheap Trick show. I'm like, put it in. He'd put it in, and I'd go, no, not that one. That's got, the other guy on bass. I need Tom P. I need the right lineup. And the dude to grab another one. Well, here's Chicago 81, which turned out, I'm like, wow, it's killer. It's pro shot. It was an MTV concert back in the
Oh,
day. But I bought that from him. And yeah,
yeah. There was
man,
a lot of that too.
oh, yeah. But now you can see all that, people don't know the access they have. And the real NMD, not the real NMD, but the high level NMD is when you're going to taking your Sunday. I was driving, an hour from home to
Yeah.
go to a hotel and spend a good amount of time, dude. Like looking through everything, looking for finding that gem that you're just like, oh my God, here's Zach sitting in with the Allman Brothers, or
Yep.
here's here's
Called
Zach
Zach
doing
Goes Wild. The Allman
how's he
Brothers, Zach
play,
Goes
dude?
Wild.
How's he play in that? Is he Zachy? Is he? He's not hitting the brakes a lot. That's what we call pinch harmonics in my world.
Yeah, no, because I think he just does Dickie's parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Stays pretty true to it from what I remember. It's been a while, but
well, he's a
I
huge fan too.
yeah, I got that there, and man, just so much stuff from those too.
Oh
I
man,
used to get like I got a Blind Melon single at one of those that it's the No Rain single, and it has a track like I don't remember Tones of Home or one of
love that
those
song.
Stoke the Sin, one of those
Love that
from
song.
the Orbit Room show, which I was
Oh
at.
wow, cool,
Yeah, and
cool.
then there's one other live track on there.
Well, that was the other thing you would get at the CD and the collector shows is like a single, like a CD single with covers and stuff on it.
Yep.
That I love those. Like I have a Jayhawks one that has the Merle Haggard song "Sing Me Back Home." They cover that. They
Yep.
cover there's a Patsy Cline tune. Um, all that. That's a cool thing too. Is the single that has the weird other four songs or three songs. The
Yeah.
single, an extended version of the single, and then some cool you can't get anywhere, either a live cut or an unreleased song. And that's really cool is when you get the unreleased song and you're like, oh my God, this is
Well, I
better than
was
anything on the album.
after the Great Affairs got done, I was talking to Corey and I was telling him how cool I like his stuff he's added to the songs that he didn't play on from like Everybody Moves.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, you can hear me on I think it's When Love's the Drug EP. There's like 3 songs that are redone with Corey on
With Corey
guitar."
on guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go check that
Wonder
out
who
on
do you know who played guitar in the Great Affairs before Corey?
Patrick something, I think is his name.
Huh. Man, that's I mean, that's the other thing is you can change a song, right? With a change of members for sure. Like a
Yeah, there
song,
during I'm All Right, he did something and I nudged Heather like, Did you hear that?
yeah,
That's new."
yeah, yeah, which is killer. And there you go. You can't do that shit if you're playing to live or to backing tracks the whole time. There's
Yeah.
no you're especially if you're pantomiming a part or something. There's no room to.
And he
And
did
that's
the
the
what you call the plinky part. Corey did that.
I love his plinky
It,
parts.
it's so killer.
And there's some great plinkies. I was just listening to Spotify the other day, driving, phone in my little holder, driving along, and it's just playing songs, right? It's just kind of randomly, and it popped up randomly. It popped up, Look Me Up when no, I'm sorry, A Queen of Used to Be, the song that Denny played on for Ghost of
Yes.
Sunset.
Yep.
That is one of the most perfectly placed and played guitar solos. It's killer.
It's
It's
so
creative.
awesome.
It's awesome as shit. And I just marveled at how cool it was. And I remember, shooting him messages about that solo, how great it was. And of course, he's very, self-effacing enough, but he had to know it was killer because it fit perfect. And just what people that's something that's special about live music is Zach fills in with the Allman Brothers and plays Dickie's parts, but they're still not Dickie's parts. They still have that Zachy. There's something about Zach in there, that's
Yeah.
that's why I don't think you can play to a bunch of backing tracks, man, because then we don't get one night. Maybe you're in a great place and you hear something and you take the song somewhere else. And I don't mean, I love the Crows, that, and I love Hardworking Americans, and I love But like the super hippie jam bands, that's too much for me. If you're just noodling forever and ever, and
Yeah.
you
Like you
know,
don't want to go to a Fish. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the Allman Brothers, who I love, I mean, you got to have some stamina, dude, to get through a whipping post. I mean,
Yeah.
it could go a
Memory
lot of
of
places.
Elizabeth Reed and all
Right.
those. Mountain Jam. Holy crap.
And
Isn't Mountain
kudos to
Jam
them.
like a whole side of a record?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Like
is.
31 minutes or something like that.
Which I mean, you
Jeez.
got to be pretty high to really,
Yeah.
and it's kind of that what it's the was it Archer that said it to on the cartoon Archer, where Pam asked him if he was going to have sex with her, and he's like, that's a catch-22 because as much alcohol as it would take me to do that would kill me. I could never do. It's like as much drugs as it would take for me to sit through a Fish concert, it would kill me. So I can't. That's terrible. I know people love Fish. I don't mean any harm, but well, I before we kind of shut things down today, or again, folks, not our normal focus show. Again, we had a guest who pulled out on us a couple times. I got to make sure there's nothing else I want to cover with Scott while I have him here, because we often have a subject laid out first, and we get so deep into that. But I covered the great affairs with you. I'm glad that you had a good time. I'm glad
Yeah.
Mike Tramp
Fantastic.
was good. That's really, I mean, I knew that, and I appreciate you rubbing it in with the text. So excited to see the great affairs tonight. Really appreciate that, dude.
I'm
When I'm on
gonna
my way driving to a gig, then I know I can't see the great affairs, and my phone goes ding, and it's Benton going, really excited to see the great affairs tonight. I'm like, you dick. And then moments later, it seemed like Todd Long, bling, hey man, you go to see the great affairs tonight? I'm like, I'm working. I gotta go make the bacon. But anyhow,
Yep.
you
Well, you
oh
answered my Ike Riley question. And
yeah,
I
that is.
there's other guys like that, like this guy Foy Vance that I like. He's like doesn't give a fuck and lives in Scotland somewhere. But he
But dude,
releases it all. So
you got it. If you're releasing it, there is
yeah.
a reason for that release. It's either
Look at us bringing it back to the original.
I know. Well, that's the other thing, dude. For real, Uh, you and I talk about music a lot. We text back and forth a lot, right? We could do that very easily without a podcast, right? It
Yeah.
was a chance to share this, and for us, I think when we first talked about doing this, it was the opportunity to have other people chime in, because you can't gather up all the tens of people who listen to this podcast. We
Right.
can't gather. We probably could gather them up, probably in
We
this room
probably
right here.
could.
Exactly. But let's hypothetically say we couldn't. Our friends in Germany and overseas, we can't all get together at once. So it's an opportunity to hear what other people have to say. And you do that a lot, like on our Facebook page. Hey, man, the next topic is this. And you see someone put a song and you're like, I never thought about that too.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with songs. They are, I think, springboards for your interpretation, springboards for your imagination, springboards for your connection. That's when they're great. Otherwise, you don't need to release them. And I hate people who are always like, oh, I don't give a shit of. I mean, everybody says, I heard Rich Robinson say about Black Crowes records, like, I don't care if they sell one or a million copies as long as my brother and I both like them and we listen to them at home. There is some of that. I mean, I think we all have that. I like a record I can listen to.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I don't listen to a bunch of old Dutch Henry songs, but when they pop up, sometimes I'm like, damn, like Greg's song Smile, I heard not too long ago. And I remember going, God dang, dude, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
I
of
want to
Dutch
like
Henry,
that. Uh-oh.
Denny didn't know about 1973, so he's gonna do a search. You know, he owns a record store, so
Oh, no shit.
he might be able to track one down. I don't
I
know.
know I
I
am.
said, well, let's see if you can get two, because was ruined
Yeah,
years ago.
I
So
am. I know I want to have those too. I do. I don't listen much. And the problem is too, when you're
it's only what, 8 songs? The
that
first
feels
one?
about right. I could
Martha's
tell
the
you right
last
now.
track, I think.
Martha's the last track. Yep. I think that's right. There's no hidden tracks
There's
on that. I know
Midwest
you hate.
Blues is on there.
Yeah.
Is Down So
Wealthy
Long on
Man.
there?
No.
There's Down So
Here.
Long on All That Space.
It's on all that space. Let me see if I can get the or so 73 has On a Dime,
Yep.
Wealthy Man, Slow Moving Train,
Yep.
Poorhouse,
Yeah.
Martha. I think that's it. It's 5 songs.
No, it's 8.
It's 8 for sure.
It's 8.
So what did I say? I said On a Dime,
Martha's the
Wealthy
last
Man,
tracks. Oh, what
Midwest
else?
Blues,
Midwest Blues. Yep.
Slow Moving Train,
I thought there was
Poorhouse, Martha. I got 6.
is
I don't remember.
what's your other track?
Down So Long in Streets are both on All That Space.
Okay.
I was there. I can break this down by I played mandolin on Wealthy Man. I played acoustic
Your
on.
EP had something too.
I wonder what else is on there. That's crazy. I don't remember. Huh. I don't think there's anything else. I think it's On a Dime, Midwest Blues, Wealthy Man, Slow Moving Train, Poorhouse, and Martha. Now I have 6 songs. I have 6 songs. Am I missing something in there? There's no real ballads on it, although there's 2 unreleased songs from that
When he
album.
drinks.
When He Drinks. That's what it was. That's the one I missed.
Yeah, When he drinks. That's
the one I missed. Yeah. Yeah. Those guys, those are
Track
cool
6.
songs. Those are cool songs. Someday I'll have to see if I can send you a couple of the things that didn't get on that record that were recorded during that time. There's a song called Here Lies Her Memory. I feel like there's another song from the 73 when we did that too that didn't get released. I have probably, I think I have a half dozen on my desktop on my computer right now of unreleased Dutch Henry songs that kind of got demoed. Some of them, there were a couple things in the All That Space era that didn't get released that were kind of cool. But anyhow, yeah.
You did 2 lead vocals on All That Space?
No, one. I only sang Streets of Where I'm From.
Yeah, okay. And then the hidden
that I got criticized for by somebody. I don't know. Someone said I sounded too British, which I'm guilty of. I couldn't defend myself. I was just like,
that's just, you sounded like you sound. I guess,
dude.
You didn't try to sound like something.
I know, but I do, dude. If I have this thing, like,
well, if
I'm singing George Jones, it's amazing how I just caught myself Thursday, dude, talking to the audience in Michigan, where I am from, in the Midwest, where I'm born and raised. I barely leave my own living room, much less travel a bunch. And I call those people, and I say this regularly. I say y'all regularly. Right? And I said y'all on the mic, and I'm like, what a dipweed. I'm sure someone was like, what's this y'allin' fool doing? He literally drove here from, he's more north than we are. I drove from 2 hours north of them. So stupid.
You're one of those cool singers, though, that can change your vocal style.
Well, it's because, and that was always the criticism was, hey man, you don't have your own voice. And I'm like, well, okay, these George
but I
Jones
dig singers
some people, some people do it really well. Some people do it on an album. I like that, where I get, hey man, that's this dude's lower voice. Oh, I like the higher voice. I like what
I can't remember the dude's name, but I think his name was like maybe Chuck. But there was this band called Lifter in Grand Rapids.
Yep, I remember that band.
That dude could change his voice and sing. Man, he was a really good vocalist.
I've told you a million times.
I used to run sound for that band.
It's my dream. My dream has always been, if I could pick one thing I could do, I mean, it'd be really fun to be like a kick-ass guitar player. That'd be fun. But I think I'd rather be a kick-ass singer. I think that would be killer. They had a kick-ass voice.
They had 2 kick-ass guitar players. I can't remember the one dude's name. He was into a lot of the hair metal like me.
Yeah. Then I liked him.
And then Kenny Genther was the other guitar player. I can't believe I remember this.
I know, that's mind-blowing. Yeah. All right, man. So you got some parting words for us on this freestyle show. And again, we're going to try to maybe get this guest on at some point and alter our schedule. But if we've seemed a little more scatterbrained today than usual, we were back on our heels with this cancellation. So it was just nice having a general chat about music too. We like to do that. We like to do that. And we still got to get our live show together. We got to have a live show. Damn, we got to do that. Well, there you go. There's your opportunity. Bring the great affair somewhere.
There we go.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh my.
We should do that.
A round table?
We should actually do it at Unruly, since this was created at Unruly.
That would be the best, yeah.
The NMD Music Festival.
Yes.
Who do you get at the NMD Music Festival? And don't be big. I mean, but we're not going to be able to probably call Aerosmith. I say Great Affairs.
Ross Cooper, The Great Affairs. Ben De La Cour.
Yep. So far, yeah, those are all.
Carrie Welling.
Well, then you'd put Melissa Dillon in there.
Melissa.
Barrel Bones, duh.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Who
man.
else have we had on here? We got to get Drew's Petty Band there.
Oh yeah, that'd be killer too. That'd be killer too. They come up, their name comes up. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Prepple's
So
got a
somebody,
little band called Hand of Giants, a
a
little
little
band.
band. That's great. Yeah, nobody.
Listen to me condescend him
They've never done anything. Um,
with our little podcast here.
I
Um,
we got to do that. So, folks, if you are friends with any of these bands, you put the bug in their ear that we're looking to book the NMD Music Festival soon. We have no idea how to do it, so it'll probably turn into like a
yeah.
Woodstockian disaster.
Fred
All right,
Durst
man.
won't be invited. There will be no inciting of riots.
Exactly. I just saw some of that. I just saw, dude, corn set from that thing. Whew. Dude, big crowds freak me out to begin with, and that crowd is looked absolutely capable of just
Terrifying.
overtaking the whole thing and going, well, this is all ours now. I mean, you could
Terrifying.
just see it. Ugh,
Yeah.
I don't like it. I'm too old for
No.
that. All right, man. What do you got? Got parting words for us today?
Well, Savannah almost killed me with cheap beer and Irish whiskey, singing songs loud and out of tune. She was a Betty Davis double with diamonds on her knuckles, and she knew every word to Born to Run.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
See you next time.